What a night for Browns Twitter last night because Kirk Cousins was spotted at a Chipotle in Westlake, just outside of Cleveland. And then shortly afterwards, a picture surfaced of him at City Barbecue in Avon, Ohio, as well. So, hand up, I was definitely a big perpetuator of spreading the Kirk Cousins wildfire smoke and rumors and all that because I sunk my teeth into this right here. And since then, we've gotten a lot of updates, a lot of people with blue check marks telling me this is not NFL related, as Ian Rapoport points out, by the way, but solid lunch choice. And a lot of other Cleveland media have come in and said, no, there is nothing here beyond Kirk Cousins just being in Cleveland. No one really has an explanation as to why he's in Cleveland, but everyone is putting water on the fire that there is no type of visit with the Browns going on here. Maybe I'm being stubborn. Not maybe, definitely am being stubborn here, but I'm dug in at this point. So let me know if you're riding with me. Do you believe Kirk Cousins was just coincidentally in the city of Cleveland in late March while they are searching for a quarterback? Or his appearance in Cleveland has some type of tie to the Browns? May not be a direct tie. Maybe he was just house shopping. But let me know. I think there was some type of tie to the Browns when he was in Cleveland yesterday and possibly still today as well. So I'm going down with the ship. And I put it on Twitter, and it was met with a lot of dissent and a lot of people disagreeing with why I believe he is in Cleveland, which I speculated was to discuss the Browns' number 2 draft pick, to go over medical information, and to talk about a potential contract restructure after a trade. Now, I'm going to concede on a handful of those fronts right there, but I am not losing sight of the overarching picture here, which is I think Kirk Cousins being in Cleveland has some type of tie to Cleveland, some type of tie to the Browns. But a handful of arguments have been built up as to why that is blasphemy. And they're not bad arguments, nor are they necessarily even wrong. The biggest one that I've seen tossed out there is tampering. The Falcons have to give Kirk Cousins permission to speak to another team. Otherwise, this would be tampering. That's not a bad argument as to why Kirk Cousins could not be visiting with the Browns. I'm old enough to remember last year when Kirk Cousins was guilty of this exact same thing. Tampering. When he went to the Falcons before he was supposed to. And they did a medical check on him coming off the Achilles. So sue me for believing maybe Kirk Cousins is falling into an old habit of meeting with the team a little prematurely, since it wouldn't be the first time he's done this before. Now, the Browns, if they are caught tampering with Cousins, would likely be stripped of a draft pick. This happened to Atlanta. They lost a 5th rounder. They only have 5 picks in this upcoming draft, 2 of which are in round 7. So, if you are telling me, Petey, you're full of it, this would be against tampering, the Falcons have to give him permission, you're not wrong. But if there's someone to do this, would it not be someone who did it last year? What's the stat? Like 80% of crimes are made up by repeat offenders, something like that. So, yeah, I think if I'm picking a quarterback to have a conversation or a cup of coffee a little bit on the early side, it'd be someone who did it 12 months ago. Now, there are 2 other big reasons as to why people believe there is no reason for Kirk Cousins to be here with the Browns. And we're going to look at those reasons next on the show. But first, I do want to give a big special shout out to our friends over at Tushy. Today's Cleveland Browns report was made possible thanks to Tushy. Finally, a resolution that isn't a pain in the derriere. Tushy bidets fit on your toilet in under 10 minutes, improving your health and saving you time/money every time you visit the Oval Office. The Tushy bidet easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing or electricity. People who have made the switch to Tushy use up to 80% less toilet paper. No more clogged toilets, save money and your ass at the same time. Installation is simple and takes about 10 minutes to complete. Literally anyone can do it. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. Take it from someone who lived in Japan for 5 years and saw how life-changing a hands-free toilet experience is, and what a unique experience, to put it lightly, having a bidet system is. Instantly improve your health from the bottom up. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code CHAT at checkout. That is 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code CHAT. I put all that information for you guys in the comments and description of today's video. Moving on to the second argument against why Kirk Cousins would be visiting the Browns. Browns are on the road, and this is factual. Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry are in Jimmy Haslam's PJ, and they are flying around the country right now doing all of their pre-draft due diligence. They are not currently in Berea or in Northeast Ohio or Cleveland, a greater area, to meet with Kirk Cousins. You can look at the Browns visits. Monday to Tuesday, they were in Alabama hanging out with Jalen Milroe. Then they hopped on over to Florida, did a private workout with Cam Ward, which this, by the way, quick sidebar, is a little strange because if the Titans were going to take Cam Ward, they tell Cam Ward that, and then Cam Ward would turn down a workout with the Browns because what if he got hurt in that workout and then the Titans bail on Ward? Plus, it would be a really weird look for Cam Ward to go, I know you're picking me, but I just want to flirt with some other teams. So that's kind of a whole strange paradox going on. But they met with Cam Ward Thursday, yesterday, when this all arose. They were in Penn State. They were at State College visiting with Abdul Carter. And then today, Friday, they are down at Ole Miss checking out Jaxson Dart's pro day. Next week, they go to Colorado to check out Shedeur Sanders' pro day. So they have been very busy this week, flying all over the country. They were not in Cleveland, unless with the private jet you could pull things off, but unless they made a really quick detour back to Cleveland for like an hour and a half and then got right back in the plane and flew down, it just seems logistically not impossible, but very difficult to achieve to be, in multiple places all on the same day. So my working theory that I'm pivoting to, since it does not seem like the Browns and Kirk Cousins sat down to discuss contract details and number 2 pick, my early speculation, which hand up is probably not aging very well, but I'm still not going to concede to the fact that Cousins was just coincidentally in Cleveland. No, I've got 2 new theories. I'm fucking delusional. I know that. Theory number 1, the Browns were like, hey, why don't you go visit our neutral doctor, right? Someone that we trust, someone who does a lot of work for us, but this may not actually be a violation of meeting with the team and therefore tampering. Although talking to Kirk Cousins would still be tampering, but maybe to a lesser scale. So go meet with this neutral doctor, and that way we can kind of have a middleman so that if we do get caught, it's not wide out in the open. And then the doctor evaluates his Achilles, his shoulder, his elbow, 2 injuries he said he sustained at the end of the 2024 season. So that's my new working theory number 1. Working theory number 2, he's checking out some houses, right? Because his agent got wind from the Browns. They are very interested in his services. And he's like, well, if I'm going to live here for at least 7-8 months from, say, June to January, I've got $380 million in the bank. I'm going to find a nice, rental. And maybe Parma, I don't know, somewhere in that area. So these are 2 theories that I'm working with as to why Kirk Cousins could be in Cleveland. Someone suggested that he could have been there for the Michigan State, or could be there for Michigan State when they played in Cleveland earlier. I didn't see any pictures of him at that game, so it doesn't seem too likely to me. The whole thing is very strange. Can we all agree on that? Like, I just can't wrap my head around how big of a coincidence it would be for Cousins to be in Cleveland at this juncture right now. I also want to give a quick shout out to everyone who has recently subscribed to the channel. We reached 43,000 subscribers overnight. So now we're trying to get up to 44,000 and then the big 5-0. So if you haven't yet, do me a favor and subscribe for more of my crazy, wacky theories. Circling back, though, to the draft stuff here and switching gears slightly from my Kirk Cousins, like Charlie from Always Sunny with the big chart and everything and all the strings across the board. Let's talk about Abdul Carter for a moment because his name has come up a ton over the past week. And there seems to be a lot of traction that he could be the pick for the Browns at number 2. We did a whole video about this yesterday. We put a lot of content out over the last 72 hours, so it all starts to blur a little bit. But Carter, if you don't know, had a foot fracture discovered during some medicals at the combine, did not work out at the combine. His agent, very notable Drew Rosenhaus, sounded pretty confident that he would end up working out at his pro day. That does not appear to be the case. Now, Rosenhaus has said that he may do a private workout sometime in April, giving his foot a little bit more time to heal. But needless to say, a foot fracture discovered 2 months before the draft is going to raise a ton of concerns, and rightfully so. But I also am old enough to remember Miles had, some injuries very early in his rookie career, and that didn't really appear to be much of an issue for him long term. So I'm not putting too much stock into it, but I know that a team is going to look at the number 2 draft pick as something so valuable that there can be no corners cut, leave no stone unturned, and you do all the research possible on whoever you take number 2, all the way back to what were their high school girlfriends like. I know that sounds ridiculous, but there are so many wild stories of teams putting scouts on players to track them and follow them during March and April leading up to the draft to see what are they doing on a Friday or Saturday night. Are they going out? Are they making poor decisions? Are they out till 2 a.m.? Because if so, that might be a character concern for a team. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it kind of is ridiculous, but we have to acknowledge this is the world we live in with how anal these teams are about their first-round draft picks. I believe Abdul Carter will be the pick for the Browns at number 2. Not a ton of smoke around this during the combine, which almost led to maybe even there being more smoke because it would not be like the Browns in February to tell everyone what they're going to do in the draft. So it's kind of like when you're watching a murder mystery. It's never the player you most suspect, and it's never the person you least suspect. It's somewhere in the middle. People in February most suspected the Browns to take Shedeur Sanders. That's too obvious for the Browns. Least suspecting would almost be like Travis Hunter a little bit. No, that's, too far off the radar. Right in the middle, Abdul Carter. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. One quick thing. I just wanted to say this earlier, and I forgot, so I'm going to say it now. A lot of media members, like Ian Rapoport, said Kirk Cousins is not here to meet with the Browns. This is just a hunch. But if I were Ian Rapoport and I saw those pictures of him in Cleveland, I think the first thing I would do was contact Kirk Cousins' agent because these reporters and agents have great relationships. A lot of times, reporters don't get much from the team. They get a lot of intel from the agents. So Cousins' agent, Mike McCartney, a very notable NFL agent for a lot of players, I guess is Rapoport texted him, this is nothing, right? And of course, McCartney is not going to admit to potential tampering. So yeah, he's going to tell him, no, there's nothing going on here. This is somewhat like the Jordan Schultz, Ian Rapoport feud at Starbucks at the Combine, where you had a source off because sources were telling Rap Sheet, there's nothing going on here. It's just a coincidence that Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady bumped into each other in Montana. Whereas Schultz's, which came, by the way, from Stafford's agent, surprise, surprise. Whereas Schultz was there to say, no, this is not a coincidence. They were there to meet. And so Rapoport is spreading what the agent's telling him. Probably wants to keep the good relationship going with that agent as well to get future scoops. So, enough of that. Let's pick a card. I've got a different producer today. It is Mr. Dylan Summer. He's going to do a fantastic job picking the card. Reed is at a bachelor party today, so no Reed. Dylan, which card do you want to go with?
Let's go with the 8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds. I like it. Give me the 6 of hearts. Damn. 5 of clubs. That's going to do it for us on today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm going to sign off, and I'll see everyone later.